Have you ever wondered what happens when the most advanced alien species in the galaxy, confident in their strength, underestimate the humans they've come to conquer? It's easy to look at Earth and see a species that's still trying to figure things out, a civilization that has yet to unlock its full potential. But what if that very weakness is what makes humans so dangerous? In a distant galaxy, the Voraakians, a technologically superior alien race, believed they were about to accomplish the easiest conquest in the universe: Earth. They had watched from afar, observing humanity's conflicts and perceived weaknesses. To them, humans were little more than ants, no different than the countless species they'd crushed before. They didn't fear Earth's puny armies or fragile technology. But what they didn't know, what they failed to grasp, was the one thing they couldn't see. Humans carry something far more terrifying than any weapon or spaceship. This story isn't about an alien invasion where humanity just defends itself. No, this is about something far darker, something that goes beyond the boundaries of technology and warfare. When the Voraakians land on Earth and begin their assault, they quickly realize their mistake. Humans, with all their flaws and limitations, possess a primal force hidden deep within, something no alien species could anticipate. At the center of this, there's one man, Kian, a soldier pushed to the brink of madness, a man who has witnessed enough suffering and pain to unlock his inner beast. When Kian unleashes his fury, the ground trembles, and the skies are filled with chaos. This isn't just the fight of one person. It's the awakening of humanity's true power. The Voraakians, once so confident in their technological superiority, begin to experience what happens when humans tap into the fury that lies dormant within. They don't just face a human resistance, they face a force of nature. So, what happens when the aliens watch in terror as humans unleash their inner beasts? Prepare yourself for an epic battle that will shatter the Voraakians' arrogance and change the fate of the galaxy forever. Get ready, because this story will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about humanity. The universe is vast, filled with countless species, each striving for dominance, survival, or exploration. For millennia, certain alien races have risen to the top of the galactic food chain. Their civilizations span stars. Their weapons and technology far outstrip anything that humanity could dream of. They have conquered planets, exterminated threats, and expanded their empires with ease. Among these superior species are the Voraakians, a technologically advanced alien race who see themselves as the galaxy's natural rulers. The Voraakians had observed Earth for centuries, keeping a careful distance while studying its inhabitants. From their hidden vantage point, Earth's history seemed filled with conflict, disorder, and stagnation. War after war, revolution after revolution, humans had failed to unite as a single, formidable force. Their cities, their technology, their way of life, all seemed primitive in the face of the Voraakians' overwhelming advancements. The Voraakians dismissed Earth as a barely functioning species, one that had little to offer the galactic community. They were simply not a threat. And so, the Voraakians' decision was made. They would invade Earth, not to destroy it, but to claim it. Their plan was swift and simple. They would land, establish dominance, and restructure human society to fit the needs of their empire. No resistance would stand a chance. What the Voraakians failed to realize, however, was that humans, despite all their flaws, possess something far more dangerous than any weapon. Beneath their fragile exterior, humanity has a deep, primal survival instinct. The power to adapt, to evolve, and to fight back is hardwired into every human being. It is a force not easily understood by those who believe strength comes solely from technology, intelligence, or numbers. As the Voraakians descend upon Earth, their first mistake is their arrogance. They assume that their advanced weaponry and superior technology will easily crush any resistance. With their fleet of ships and soldiers, the aliens prepare for the inevitable conquest, confident that humanity will fall to their knees at the first sign of an invasion. But what they don't know is that humanity is anything but predictable. When the Voraakians land, the first wave of attacks on major cities goes exactly as they expected. The military tries to resist, but human weapons are no match for the Voraakian firepower. Cities are reduced to rubble, and human lives are lost by the millions. To the Voraakians, it's a formality, an easy victory. But this is just the beginning. The more they strike, the more they underestimate the tenacity of the people they are conquering. Kian, the story's central figure, is a man who has lived through unimaginable hardship. He is not an ordinary human. He's been shaped by years of war, loss, and personal struggle. Kian was once a soldier, a mere cog in a much larger machine. But after the collapse of his own government and the destruction of his family, he's become something more. He's a broken man, scarred by the past, but in that brokenness, he has found a strength that no alien could have predicted. Kian's rage and sorrow have fused into a singular, unstoppable force. He is humanity's greatest weapon, an embodiment of what happens when a human is pushed past their breaking point. The Voraakians, who once believed they were untouchable, are about to learn what happens when they provoke the beast within a human. It's not the advanced technology that will save Earth. It's the fury of humanity itself. When Kian steps onto the battlefield, it's not just to fight for survival. He's fighting for something deeper, something primal, the heart and soul of humanity. As the Voraakians begin to realize their catastrophic miscalculation, they face an enemy unlike any they've ever encountered. Humans aren't just weak and fragile. They are survivors, warriors, and most terrifying of all, fighters who never give up. And it's this indomitable will to fight, to survive, and to protect that will turn the tide of the battle. The invasion has just begun, but the Voraakians' greatest mistake was to underestimate what lies beneath the surface of humanity. And now they are about to face the terrifying consequences. The Voraakians, proud and confident in their advanced technology, have always seen themselves as the dominant force in the galaxy. To them, strength was measured in the cold precision of their weapons, the vastness of their fleets, and the scientific advancements that allowed them to manipulate the very fabric of the universe. They had conquered countless worlds, subdued aggressive species, and quelled uprisings with ease. Their empire stretched across the stars, and they believed there was no force in the galaxy that could challenge their supremacy. But when they first turned their gaze on Earth, they made a fatal mistake. They underestimated humanity. The Voraakians' first contact with Earth was from a distance, observation, gathering data, and analyzing the planet's inhabitants through their sophisticated surveillance systems. From this detached view, humanity appeared weak, disorganized, and fragile. They observed the wars, the poverty, the political corruption, and the environmental degradation. To the Voraakians, humans were a species locked in a cycle of self-destruction, constantly fighting among themselves rather than uniting for a common cause. They seemed to be living in the ruins of their own potential, a species unable to advance beyond its primitive state. In their arrogance, the Voraakians saw humanity as easy prey, an underdeveloped species that would crumble the moment they arrived with their superior weaponry. They had faced stronger enemies before, and the idea that a race like humanity could pose any real threat was laughable to them. So, the Voraakians made their decision. Earth would be a target for conquest, but not because it was a valuable world. It was an opportunity to expand their empire. The invasion would be swift, efficient, and clean. They would land in major cities, decimate human military forces, and establish control within days. The alien fleet was already en route, and the Voraakians were confident that resistance would be non-existent. They had no reason to think otherwise. What the Voraakians didn't count on, however, was the raw, untapped power of humanity's will to survive. While the Voraakians were busy analyzing Earth's weakness from their distant vantage point, they completely missed the most dangerous trait of the human race: resilience. The human spirit, forged through centuries of hardship and struggle, was something the Voraakians had no way of measuring. They failed to recognize that, in the face of overwhelming adversity, humans have an uncanny ability to adapt, unite, and fight back, not just for survival, but for something far greater: freedom. The first wave of the invasion confirmed the Voraakians' initial belief that Earth was an easy target. The human military was outclassed by alien technology, and major cities fell within hours. But what the Voraakians didn't anticipate was the emotional fury of the human population. Civilians, seeing their homes destroyed, families killed, and cities reduced to rubble, began to fight back, not with high-tech weapons, but with something much more primal: anger, determination, a desire to protect their homes and loved ones. And at the heart of this human resistance was a single man, Kian. The Voraakians' mistake wasn't just underestimating humanity's resilience. It was ignoring the fury that arises when a species is pushed too far. The spark of rebellion ignited within every human who witnessed the invasion. A fire began to burn not in the cities, but in the hearts of every person who refused to bow to the alien threat. It was something the Voraakians couldn't have predicted: the human instinct to fight when faced with extinction. What the Voraakians were about to learn is that humans, for all their flaws, are not weak. When they are cornered, they fight with everything they have. And now, the aliens were going to see firsthand the terrifying consequences of their misjudgment. In the midst of Earth's chaos, as cities fell and the world trembled under the weight of an alien invasion, there emerged a figure whose fury would come to embody humanity's defiance. His name was Kian, a man unlike any the Voraakians had ever encountered. Kian wasn't a soldier by profession, nor was he a man of great fame or reputation. He wasn't part of any elite fighting force or specialized military unit. He was, in fact, just a simple civilian, an ex-Marine turned farmer, trying to live a peaceful life on a quiet plot of land in the outskirts of what was once a thriving city. His life, like many others, had been one of hardship and resilience. But what set Kian apart was something far deeper than mere physical strength. It was the fury, the primal rage that surged through him when he saw the world he loved being torn apart. Kian's life had not been easy. As a former soldier, he had seen death up close, in ways that would break the spirits of lesser men. He had lost comrades in brutal wars, fought in distant lands, and witnessed the horrors of humanity's conflicts. But when he left the military, it was to escape that world, seeking solace in the simplicity of farming and a quiet, peaceful life. He had hoped to forget the screams of battle and the scars of war. He found peace in the rhythm of planting crops and tending to his animals. But peace was fleeting. The moment the Voraakians' invasion began, Kian's world came crashing down. The first wave of attacks obliterated his hometown. His house was destroyed, and his family, his wife, his children, were taken in the chaos, their fates unknown. The shock and the pain of that loss were enough to break a man. But Kian was no ordinary man. He was a man of resilience, shaped by years of battle, loss, and survival. He didn't cower. He didn't run. Instead, something deep inside him snapped. This wasn't just an alien invasion. This was an attack on his home, his family, his life. And Kian wasn't about to let that stand. His transformation from a farmer to a warrior was not instantaneous. It wasn't about picking up a gun and learning to fight again. It was about unleashing the beast within. The human side of him, the side that had once sought peace, was gone. In its place stood something else, a force of nature born from grief, anger, and the sheer will to survive. Kian was no longer the man who had once worn the uniform of a soldier. He was something else now. He had become a human beast, driven by an unrelenting desire to protect what was left of his world and take revenge on the invaders who had dared to destroy it. His years of military training kicked back in, but now they were fueled by the fire of rage. His first act of defiance was one that would become legend. After watching his city burn to the ground and seeing the alien forces wreak havoc on his neighbors, Kian made a choice. He strapped on the old combat gear he had left in storage, grabbed whatever weapons he could find, old rifles, grenades, and a few blades, and went into the heart of the enemy's territory. But this wasn't a calculated assault. It wasn't about military tactics or strategy. It was about rage. He stormed into alien-controlled zones with no plan other than to make them feel the wrath of humanity. He fought like a beast, brutal, relentless, and without mercy. The Voraakians, who had been confident in their superiority, soon realized they had underestimated Kian in a way they couldn't have imagined. He tore through their ranks, moving faster, harder, and more viciously than any soldier they had ever faced. His sheer will to protect, combined with the fury of a man who had lost everything, turned him into a force unlike anything they had seen before. What they didn't realize was that Kian wasn't alone. His rage had sparked something in others, a fire that spread through the human resistance. The aliens had made the grave mistake of thinking humans weak, incapable of fighting back. But Kian's fury showed them a different side of humanity. It was not just about technology. It wasn't just about advanced weapons. It was about humanity's inner strength, the untamable spirit that refuses to be crushed, no matter the odds. From that moment on, Kian became the symbol of the human fightback. He was more than a man. He was the beast unleashed. And the Voraakians would soon learn that this was not a species they could simply conquer. This was a species that could fight, endure, and fight back with everything they had. And Kian would lead the charge. The Voraakians had invaded Earth with a sense of supreme confidence, their advanced technology and seemingly invincible forces making them believe that the planet was theirs for the taking. They had seen countless civilizations crumble before them, their powerful ships easily reducing cities to smoldering ruins, their weapons capable of annihilating entire armies. But what they didn't understand was the most dangerous thing they could ever face: the human spirit. Kian was the catalyst. His explosive rage, combined with humanity's relentless will to survive, sparked something within the survivors. He had already made a name for himself, carving a bloody path through the Voraakian invaders. But now, the stakes were higher. The battle for Earth wasn't just about survival. It was about proving humanity's place in the cosmos. The day of the final confrontation arrived, and Earth's last stand had begun. Kian, now a leader of the human resistance, stood with a ragtag army of survivors. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched in every sense of the word. But their hearts burned with a fire that the Voraakians couldn't comprehend. The planet had been ravaged, cities lay in ruins, and yet, here they were, standing their ground, refusing to yield. The Voraakian forces had deployed their most advanced war machines, towering behemoths of metal that fired devastating plasma cannons, and fleets of ships that dominated the sky. But what they didn't know was that the humans had adapted, had learned to fight in ways no one expected. Kian had spent days preparing, studying the enemy's movements, learning their weaknesses. His leadership and instinct had become a rallying point for the human fighters. They no longer fought with hesitation. They fought with fury, and they fought as one. The battle unfolded on the outskirts of what was once a major city. The Voraakians had launched their final assault, believing it would be a swift and easy victory. Their fleet hovered above the battlefield, raining down destruction from the skies, while their ground forces moved in like a tidal wave, crushing everything in their path. But as their troops advanced, they were met with a sight that shook them to their core. Humanity was fighting back, and they were doing it with a ferocity that made even the Voraakians pause. Kian was at the front lines, a human whirlwind of destruction. Armed with an old military rifle, a combat knife, and nothing but pure rage, he charged headfirst into the Voraakian forces. The first few moments were chaos. Explosions rocked the ground. Smoke and dust filled the air, and the cries of battle echoed through the ruins. But it was the sight of Kian that left the Voraakians speechless. He moved with a brutal speed, taking down aliens left and right with an animalistic fury. His movements were sharp, unpredictable. He was no longer a man but a beast, guided only by the instinct to survive and the hunger for revenge. The human soldiers fought beside him, fueled by the same rage. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their home, for everything they had lost. Each human who fell, each family member taken by the Voraakians, added more fuel to the fire. The resistance was no longer just a group of disorganized survivors. They were a force of nature, and the Voraakians were beginning to realize they had made the worst possible mistake. As the battle raged on, Kian's fury became almost legendary. He was everywhere at once, taking out enemy soldiers with savage precision, tearing through Voraakian war machines with explosive charges, and inspiring every human around him to fight harder. His rage was contagious. His roar of defiance rang out, echoing through the battlefield, and the humans around him responded, pushing back against the alien invaders with everything they had. But it wasn't just brute strength that made the humans so dangerous. Tactics had become their secret weapon. They had adapted the environment to their advantage, setting traps, using guerrilla warfare, and employing hit-and-run tactics. They used the wreckage of destroyed cities as cover, moving in and out of the shadows with expert precision. The Voraakians, accustomed to overwhelming force, were caught off guard by this new, unpredictable enemy. They began to falter. The final push came when Kian, driven by pure instinct and a thirst for vengeance, led a daring charge toward the Voraakian command center. He and his team broke through their front lines, moving with a deadly precision, cutting down any alien that stood in their way. They reached the core of the enemy's operations, the heart of their control, where Kian faced the Voraakian leader, a towering figure encased in an armored exosuit. The two warriors clashed, and it was nothing short of legendary. The fight was brutal, intense. Kian's rage against the calculated precision of the alien commander. Sparks flew as weapons collided, but in the end, it was the raw fury of humanity that triumphed. Kian's fists, driven by the force of 1,000 emotions, brought the alien leader to his knees. The last barrier to victory had fallen. The Voraakians, disoriented and leaderless, began to retreat. The humans had proven one irrefutable truth. Humanity wasn't just a species of weaklings, of helpless beings cowering in the face of superior technology. No, they were a species of warriors, capable of unleashing a fury that no weapon could contain. And so, in the ruins of a once great city, Kian stood victorious. His face, covered in dirt and blood, was a symbol of humanity's unbroken spirit. The Voraakians would never forget this battle. They had come to conquer, but instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, the beast within humanity. And it was something they would never be able to defeat. The battle had been fierce, and the Voraakians, once so certain of their superiority, now found themselves retreating, broken and stunned. They had come to Earth expecting a quick and easy conquest. After all, they had demolished countless civilizations in their quest to expand their empire. But Earth was different. The humans were different, and what they learned on that day would change their understanding of the universe forever. The first thing the Voraakians realized was the depth of human resilience. No matter how many battles they fought, how many cities they obliterated, or how many lives they claimed, the humans refused to break. The Voraakian invaders had underestimated the strength of human willpower. They believed that once they showed their superior technology and vast military might, the humans would cower, surrender, and accept their fate. But the humans stood their ground, fighting with a ferocity they had never seen before. What was even more shocking to the Voraakians was the collective strength of humanity. They had expected to face scattered pockets of resistance, disorganized and easy to crush. But what they encountered was something far more dangerous, a unified front. The humans, regardless of their differences, had come together, not as individuals, but as a cohesive force, driven by a shared purpose, to protect their planet. The Voraakians, used to fighting fractured societies, found themselves battling an unstoppable collective will. The next lesson the aliens learned was human adaptability. The Voraakians, for all their technological advancements, could not anticipate the humans' ability to adapt to new circumstances. From guerrilla tactics to using their environment as a weapon, the humans had a way of adjusting to every challenge thrown their way. It was as though the more the Voraakians pushed, the more the humans adapted, learned, and struck back harder. The Voraakians had relied on their superior technology, but it became clear that technology alone wasn't enough to win a war. Ingenuity, something the Voraakians lacked, was a weapon the humans wielded with precision. But perhaps the most shocking realization for the Voraakians was the human capacity for rage. The aliens had witnessed many species fight for survival, but nothing like this. The humans fought with an unrelenting fury, a primal energy that seemed to come from deep within. It wasn't just about survival for them. It was about defending their very existence, about avenging the loss of their loved ones, their cities, and their way of life. Kian, in particular, embodied this rage. His sheer force of will became a symbol of humanity's untamed anger, a force that the Voraakians had no defense against. They had never encountered a species so driven by emotions, especially one whose anger seemed to fuel their strength. The final lesson the Voraakians learned was the importance of unity. They had come to Earth believing they were superior in every way, stronger, smarter, and more advanced. But what they failed to understand was that it wasn't their technology or their armies that would determine the outcome of the battle. It was the humans' ability to come together, to fight for something greater than themselves. The Voraakians had failed to recognize that the humans' greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or ships. It was in their unity and spirit. By the end of the battle, as the Voraakians retreated into the void of space, they carried with them a profound lesson. Never underestimate the strength of a species fighting for its survival. They had come to Earth expecting to crush a weak and fractured civilization, but they had instead awakened a beast, the full, untapped potential of humanity. And that, the Voraakians knew, was something they would never be able to defeat. The battle for Earth, while monumental in itself, was merely a flashpoint in a much larger cosmic drama, one that the Voraakians, and indeed all the other interstellar species, had failed to foresee. Earth had long been isolated from the broader galactic community, a tiny blue planet orbiting a mediocre star in the outer rim of the Milky Way. But this conflict, this clash of civilizations, would alter the course of history, not just for humanity, but for the entire universe. What the Voraakians and many others failed to understand was the latent potential of Earth. For centuries, humanity had been trapped within their own small corner of the universe, largely unaware of the larger cosmic powers at play. They had focused on their own internal struggles, wars, politics, environmental disasters, believing their problems to be the only ones that mattered. But the reality was that Earth had always been a sleeping giant, quietly waiting for its moment to awaken and make its mark in the stars. The invasion and the subsequent victory over the Voraakians was not just a defensive action. It was a signal to the rest of the galaxy that humanity was no longer a passive species. The Voraakians had assumed that humans were fragile, predictable, and easy to control. But the actions of Kian and the human resistance shattered that misconception. It was not just a victory over an alien force. It was a declaration of independence for Earth. A message sent across the stars. We are not weak. We will not bow. And we will not be conquered. But this battle also exposed a much deeper, more concerning truth, one that had been lurking in the shadows all along. The galactic powers were watching. Earth had long been a backwater, a planet left to develop in isolation. But the moment the Voraakians arrived, a ripple of interest spread throughout the galaxy. The conflict caught the attention of countless alien civilizations, some with peaceful intentions, but others with much darker goals. The universe had just witnessed a primal display of human strength, and for some, that made Earth a new target, but for a different reason. The bigger picture was that humanity was now on the galactic map, but it wasn't as simple as being a small, protected world tucked away in a forgotten corner. With the defeat of the Voraakians, the human race had proven that they could wield power, and that power, in the eyes of the galaxy's other factions, was both a threat and an opportunity. First, there were those civilizations that saw potential in Earth. Some of them, like the peaceful inhabitants of the Syrian Nebula, believed that humanity could be a strong ally in a universe that was quickly becoming more fragmented and divided. The Syrians had witnessed human bravery and unity, and they began to see Earth as a possible partner in the struggle against hostile empires and rogue warlords. On the other hand, there were the darker forces of the galaxy, the warlords, the marauding factions, and the conquerors, who saw Earth's newfound strength as an opportunity to exploit. The Voraakians were only the beginning. They had been the first to underestimate humanity, but they wouldn't be the last. These new predators viewed Earth as a prize that had recently shown that its inhabitants were capable of defending it. And then there were the cosmic bystanders, those who were merely curious. The great and ancient races of the galaxy, those who had seen civilizations rise and fall countless times, had been watching humanity's rise with an academic interest. To them, humans were just another species to be observed, a fascinating anomaly with the potential to disrupt the galactic order. They had long since mastered the art of manipulation and subtle control over younger species. For them, humanity was just another experiment to monitor. Could they be controlled? Could they be turned into allies? Or would they end up as an uncontrollable force of nature, like the Deathworlders before them? In the wake of the battle, Earth found itself standing at the crossroads of the galaxy's future. The victory over the Voraakians was no longer just a matter of survival. It was the beginning of a new era for humanity. The seeds of human ambition, once limited to terrestrial concerns, had now expanded into the stars. No longer would humans be confined to their own corner of the universe. They had tasted the power of the galaxy and realized that they could reach out and take what they desired, just as the other species had done before them. But this newfound power came with its own set of challenges. Humanity had to face the reality that they were no longer alone in the universe, and that the dangers they now faced were far greater than any they had encountered on Earth. The galaxy was a vast, dangerous place, and it was about to be introduced to a new player, a species that had been underestimated for far too long. The battle with the Voraakians had been only the beginning of a much larger cosmic journey. Earth's place in the galactic community would be shaped by the decisions humanity made in the aftermath of their victory. Would they become a force for peace, or would they seek to conquer as others had before them? Would they unite the galaxy in defense against its threats, or would they become one of those threats themselves? The answers to these questions would not come quickly. But one thing was certain: humanity had changed forever. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again, and the story of humanity's rise had only just begun. The bigger picture was still unfolding, and it was far more complex than anyone could have ever imagined. The question was no longer if humanity could survive, it was how they would choose to shape their future among the stars. The aftermath of the battle against the Voraakians marked a turning point for Earth. The once quiet planet, isolated in the outer rim of the Milky Way, had now become a focal point for galactic attention. The immediate impact on Earth was both profound and far-reaching, as the human race suddenly found itself standing on the precipice of a new era. The cost of victory, however, was not insignificant, and the consequences of their newfound prominence would ripple through every corner of the planet. First, there was the matter of humanity's psyche. The victory over the Voraakians had awakened something deep within the human collective consciousness. The sense of vulnerability that had once plagued humanity, brought on by decades of conflict, war, and environmental degradation, began to fade. In its place emerged a renewed sense of pride, power, and self-assurance. For the first time in history, Humans had shown the galaxy that they were not a species to be underestimated. However, this shift also brought with it the possibility of hubris. While the Voraakian defeat had demonstrated humanity's potential for resilience and strength, the danger now was that Earth might grow complacent, believing that it could always triumph over any challenge. The darker side of human nature, fueled by the adrenaline of victory, could lead to reckless ambitions, both on Earth and in space. A sense of invincibility could easily take hold, pushing humanity into dangerous territories, especially as it now had the military and technological capabilities to engage with the galaxy's mightiest powers. On the geopolitical front, the world's nations began to reassess their positions. No longer bound by the limitations of regional conflicts, the governments of Earth began to forge new alliances and strategic pacts. The Syrian Nebula, which had witnessed humanity's boldness firsthand, proposed diplomatic negotiations to form a coalition, and several other peaceful civilizations offered their support. The most significant shift, however, was the formation of an Earth-centered galactic federation, one that sought to consolidate Earth's newfound position within the galaxy's political landscape. While some nations sought to use their newfound strength to propel Earth to the forefront of galactic diplomacy, others were more cautious, wary of becoming embroiled in interstellar conflicts. There was a growing tension between expansionist factions and those who sought to maintain Earth's relative isolation. The military-industrial complex, having proven its might in battle, now turned its attention to space exploration and colonization. Plans were quickly set into motion for the construction of interstellar fleets, and the colonization of nearby planets became a top priority. But even with all the political and military upheaval, perhaps the most profound change was the impact on human culture. The Voraakian threat had forced humanity to unite like never before. For the first time, old prejudices and national borders seemed irrelevant as people rallied together under the banner of survival. As the world recovered from the battle scars, this newfound unity remained. The human spirit, once divided, now recognized the power in cooperation. The Voraakians had awakened a collective resolve to look beyond their differences, and the result was the birth of a new human identity, one that embraced strength, unity, and the will to stand tall in the face of any challenge. But the fight against the Voraakians had also highlighted the fragility of peace. With the defeat of the alien invaders, Earth had momentarily secured its future, but the larger galactic landscape was still fraught with danger. The victory had drawn attention to Earth, and not all those watching were benevolent. As humanity began to stake its claim on the galactic stage, it attracted not just allies, but enemies as well. The long-term impact of this new chapter in Earth's history was still unfolding. Humanity now had the technology, the strength, and the will to push beyond their home planet. But how they chose to navigate the turbulent waters of galactic politics and how they interacted with the other species watching from the stars would determine their future. Would they forge alliances and bring peace to the galaxy? Or would they become just another war-hungry civilization, leaving chaos in their wake? In any case, Earth's future was no longer just about survival. It was about purpose. It was about legacy. And it was about the difficult choices humanity would have to make as they stepped into a galaxy that would never look at them the same way again. The aftermath of humanity's victory against the Voraakians marked more than just a shift in the planet's immediate fortunes. It was the dawn of an entirely new chapter for the human race, one that carried both immense potential and profound risks. The galaxy, once seen as an expansive and dangerous unknown, was now within humanity's reach. But what did this newfound position mean for Earth's future, both in the short term and across generations? The technological leap humanity had made was nothing short of extraordinary. With access to alien technology, including advanced weaponry, energy sources, and spacecraft, Earth now stood at the forefront of interstellar exploration. This breakthrough could transform human civilization in ways that were once only dreamed about in science fiction. But this technological leap was also a double-edged sword. As the old adage goes, with great power comes great responsibility. While humanity's newfound capabilities could bring about a golden age of prosperity, they also carried the potential for unprecedented destruction. One of the immediate implications was the military escalation. Nations around the world, many of which had already demonstrated their strength in the battle against the Voraakians, now sought to amass even more advanced technologies. While some advocates argued for peace and diplomacy, others pushed for the militarization of Earth's space forces. The desire to be the dominant power in a galaxy teeming with unknown civilizations fueled a dangerous arms race, where every nation scrambled to secure resources, technologies, and military alliances. The idea of a galactic empire, a unified human force capable of projecting power across the stars, began to take root. But was humanity prepared for the weight of such a vision? Would they be able to wield their newfound power without falling into the same traps that had plagued so many civilizations before them? Expansion into the stars was another critical aspect of Earth's future. The immediate impulse, following the defeat of the Voraakians, was to look outward. Humanity's thirst for exploration was undeniable. Planets that had once been far beyond reach were now within their grasp. The colonization of other worlds seemed inevitable, and with it, the question of how to govern these new territories. Would humans build a utopia on new planets, or would they simply recreate the same flawed systems that had caused so much turmoil on Earth? The social implications were also massive. As Earth ventured into space, there was the question of who would benefit from the spoils of the galaxy. Would space exploration remain the privilege of the wealthy and powerful, or would it be a collective effort that included all of humanity? The economic shifts created by space travel could either elevate humanity as a whole or deepen the existing inequalities. The wealth from new colonies could fuel advancements in education, healthcare, and technology, or it could be hoarded by a few powerful entities, creating a new aristocracy of space lords. Then there was the matter of alien diplomacy. Earth was no longer a solitary, backwater planet in the galaxy. With the Voraakian threat vanquished, Earth's visibility had skyrocketed, and not all of the galactic powers that now observed the human race were benevolent. While some civilizations saw potential in humanity as allies, others viewed them as a threat, particularly those that had been the Voraakians' enemies or had sought to exploit weaker species. The path forward would be fraught with both opportunities and dangers. Would humanity be able to establish peaceful relations with these diverse civilizations? Or would they find themselves drawn into galactic wars, perhaps even provoked by their own actions? In many ways, humanity's future was at a crossroads. The next few decades or even centuries would determine which path Earth would take, the path of growth and prosperity, where humanity became a beacon of peace and innovation across the stars, or the path of conquest and domination, where the pursuit of power led to inevitable conflict. Earth now had the chance to shape the future of the galaxy, but with this power came an overwhelming responsibility. The moral questions would be just as pressing as the political ones. As humanity ventured into new worlds and encountered new species, it would face complex ethical dilemmas. How would they treat the civilizations they encountered? Would they respect alien life forms? Or would they repeat the mistakes of their past, subjugating other species for their own gain? The potential for corruption was high. Would the ideals that had unified humanity during the Voraakian War hold steady? Or would the corrupting influence of power and greed tear humanity apart? Humanity had been tested, and it had survived. The galactic stage was now set, and Earth would have to decide whether to rise above its past mistakes or risk repeating them on a much larger, much more dangerous scale. The implications of the Voraakian War would echo across the stars for centuries to come. It was up to humanity to determine whether they would be remembered as a beacon of hope and progress, or as yet another civilization that, once given the power to reach the stars, lost its way in the darkness. The battle between humanity and the Voraakians was more than just a victory in war. It was a turning point for the human race, a moment in history that redefined Earth's role in the universe. It was a shocking display of human potential, an unveiling of a strength that even the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy underestimated. The story of humanity's rise from obscurity to power serves as a reminder that the true nature of a species is often hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and misjudgment. The Voraakians learned this lesson the hard way, and Earth's newfound status in the galactic order raised more questions than answers. However, the future is never without its uncertainties. As humanity looks outward to the stars, there is no denying the weight of the responsibility that comes with such immense power. The technological advancements, the military might, and the potential for exploration all carry with them both promise and peril. Will humanity rise to the challenge and chart a course for a peaceful, prosperous future, or will the same forces of greed, fear, and division that have plagued Earth's past resurface on the galactic stage? The lesson learned from the Voraakian War is that humanity is not to be underestimated. But with that recognition comes the understanding that strength alone is not enough to secure a lasting legacy. The key will be balance, balancing the thirst for knowledge and power with the moral compass that guides humanity's best qualities. The real test will come not in battle, but in the choices humanity makes in the years to come. As Earth stands on the brink of a new era, one thing is clear. The future of the galaxy is now in humanity's hands. And how it chooses to wield that power will determine whether Earth becomes a force for peace and progress, or a harbinger of destruction. The choice is ours.